Hey, what's going on, guys? Connor here with another episode of the 10-Minute Strength Pod. This is the fourth episode of this season, and today we're going to be talking about being a strength coach. So I made a video probably right around a year ago titled, So You Want to Be a Strength Coach? And I kind of went over all the horrible things that are going to happen to you if you decide to go into this field. And then I wrote kind of a companion piece to that called, So You Still Want to Be a Strength Coach? And the purpose of this video, or this episode rather, is to kind of talk about the things that I think are really important if you decide that you want to go into this field and make it a career. So there are a lot of things when you become a strength coach that you don't realize are incredibly important, and we're going to go over some of those things today. So the first thing, I talked about this in my last video as well. I'm going to hammer on it again because I think it matters. Get a degree in this field. Athletic training, physical education, exercise phys, exercise science, biology, chemistry, I don't care, a science field, something that's going to give you an understanding of what you have to know to be in this field. You're not going to understand the why if you don't understand everything that happens like at the most basic part of the body. So understanding physiological adaptation, like you need to understand what's happening even at the lowest like molecular levels, and getting a degree in this field is going to give you a much better understanding of that. And the reason why I'm so big on understanding the why is because if you don't understand the why, there's no way you can convey that to your athlete. On top of that, if you don't understand the why, it is really hard to make adjustments within a program when something happens. So get a degree in this field. I don't care if it's athletic training, physical education, exercise science, exercise physiology, whatever path you decide to go down, just get a degree that matters in this field because it will pay dividends for you. And more importantly, when people come to apply for positions at facilities that I've been in the past, if you don't have that, if you don't have like a degree in one of those fields, it's really hard for me to think that you cared enough to get into this field in the first place. It almost looks like it's something that's an afterthought for you. So again, point number one, get a degree in this field. It will give you more knowledge and it will show that you actually cared. The second thing, get a legitimate certification. Now, does getting certification give you all the tools necessary and mean that you're going to be a fantastic strength and conditioning coach? Absolutely not. But what it will do is it will give you the basic knowledge as to how to not hurt someone. I know plenty of certified strength and conditioning coaches that are absolute dummies. I know plenty of guys that aren't certified and are incredibly smart. But having that certification is a big deal. Again, it goes back to show that you cared enough to get it. You know, you can have all the knowledge, and I'll tell you what, from my certified strength and conditioning specialist exam and that book, there's next to nothing from that book that I use every day as a strength and conditioning coach. But having it shows people that you at least have the bare minimum knowledge to be able to do what you're supposed to do with these athletes. You know, in addition to that, when you go to apply for positions, it's pretty much necessary unless you're at the college level where it seems like a free-for-all and nobody seems to care. You can get a certification in USA Track and Field, something like that, and you can get a position at the NCAA level. But if you're going to be in the private setting where it seems like coaches seem to, or not coaches, but general managers and the people at the top seem to care a little bit more, you're going to need that certification. So get a cert, your CSCS through the NSCA, the CSCCA, the Collegiate Strength Coaches or Strength and Conditioning Coaches Association is another good one. And then NASM has a couple okay ones that you can have in addition to one of those two. But the NSCA and the CSCCA are going to be the two gold standards within this field. All right, after you've gotten your degree, you got your legitimate certification, you're going to have to spend some time interning in the field. Interning is really good for quite a few reasons. For one, it gives you an understanding of what the field's actually like, right? So when you're in the classroom and you're learning all these things, it's really cool to think, oh, I could do this or I could do that. I can apply this here. And then you get out on the floor and nothing works that way, not a thing. So getting on the floor and interning in, at the collegiate setting is really going to give you a much firmer understanding of the fact that things don't always go the way you'd like them to. Also, interning under different coaches is going to give you a little bit better understanding of different philosophies, different principles. It'll also help to kind of diversify yourself as a person. You get out in front of more people, and you learn to work with and underneath like different personalities. So interning is a great thing. It can give you a great basis of knowledge. It can help you to network. And it'll allow you to understand if you really want to be in this field. If you're an intern and you're working, granted for zero pay 99% of the time, but if you're going into that facility at 6 a.m. and leaving at 7 p.m., or you're going in at 4 a.m. and leaving at 8 p.m., it'll give you an understanding like, can I actually do this for the rest of my life? It makes it a little bit easier when you're collecting a paycheck to do it. But if you can't do it when you're young and first in the field and like really hungry to coach, you're going to really struggle later on. All right. So intern like you work there, do your hours that you're supposed to do, but go above that. Like get in there in the trenches and see if it's something that you can realistically do for the rest of your life. Because for a lot of people, working 70 plus hours a week just isn't in the cards for them. So get out there, intern, different coaches, different settings, get a couple underneath your belt, and you'll be a lot happier for it. This next one kind of goes into that. Network. You decided you're going to be a strength and conditioning coach. You think you're really smart, and I fell into this trap early on. I was like, I'm really smart. I have all this knowledge, but I didn't know anybody. Like, how am I going to go get a position when my application goes in to the pile of like 300 looking for a position at the college level or even in the private setting? And the sad reality is that it goes to the bottom of the pile, or it gets put on file for future consideration after they haven't even looked at it, because they've got their guy that they've already decided is going to have that position. So get out there, network, meet tons of coaches, go to the conferences, go stop by. I don't know that there's a strength coach on the planet that if you emailed them was like, hey, I'd like to kind of stop by, see what you do and talk shop, that they'd say no. Most of us are very giving with our time, and we want to pay it forward and help educate the next kind of round of strength and conditioning coaches. So email them, find out. There's got to be, if there's a university in your town, email that strength coach or one of the strength coaches on staff, and I'm sure they'd be happy to have you. If there's, a facility that's in the private setting, go reach out to them. I mean, if somebody emailed me and was like, hey, I just want to stop by and talk shop, I'd make sure that I found some time to be able to do that with them. So get out there and network. Again, go into the conferences. When you go to the conferences, bring business cards. Make yourself a little bit of a website just so that you can have your CV on file or your resume on file somewhere where they can access it pretty easily, and that keeps you from having to kind of walk around with resumes all day long. This next point's incredibly important. Learn to move. I can't tell you how many interns I've had that cannot perform the basic movements that we're asking our athletes to do. If you're going to be in this field and you're going to have a clientele and you're going to ask them to do things, you better damn well know how to do it, and you better look pretty flawless when you do it, because if they can't see how it needs to be done, there's no shot they're going to be able to do it. So learn how to move, and that doesn't mean that you have to be like a 500, 600-pound squatter. That means that you need to squat with like complete execution and flawless movement patterns when you do it, so that they can at least see how it needs to be done. You can explain it to a lot of people, but a lot of people are very visual learners, and if they can't see you do it, if you're getting to the bottom of a squat and you're internally rotating at the hip, or like your feet are falling flat, or you can't keep your chest up, there's zero shot they're going to be able to do it. And in addition to that, it's going to make them lose respect for you. If you can't do these things that you're asking them to do, why the hell are they going to want to do it? They're not. They're going to lose respect for you. You're going to lose clientele, and it's just not good. So learn how to move. Learn how to accelerate. Like, even if you just get good at like 1 or 2 reps, learn how to A-skip, how to A-march, how to, karaoke quick step, how to do all these different things so that they can see it and have respect for you. When I'm demoing jumps for my athletes, like 9 times out of 10, the kids that are, between 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, like their mouths open up. They get really excited. They're like, wow, he can jump really high. And that helps with buy-in. I could absolutely not know what I'm talking about, but if I look like I can do it, then they're going to listen. So learn how to move. Learn how to market. All right, so you're going to be marketing yourself, your program, your abilities, whatever, no matter where you get into, right? So when you're going to get a job at the university setting, like you're you're marketing yourself. You're having to put yourself out there. A lot of strength coaches at the university level want like a clip of you explaining yourself doing a movement or doing the movement, and you're going to have to sell yourself. So like learn how to market. If you're in the private setting, you're going to have to market because you're going to have to bring in clientele because that's the only way that you're going to eat. So learn how to market. I will say this too. The majority of like the more popular strength and conditioning coaches have a very, very good social media presence, right? And that's because they've done really well with marketing. They understand who they're marketing to, what needs to be done within, their marketing content, and it helps them grow. Oops, sorry, I got a phone call. And it helps them grow in the private setting. So you're going to have to know how to market. If you decide to open your own facility, you're going to have to get really good at it because that's the only way you're going to get people through your doors. If you decide to go the collegiate route or the professional route, you're going to have to do the same thing. These people are going to have to know who you are, and the more of a presence that you have, the better off you're going to be. This one kind of goes to this next one, piggybacking on top of the interning. Learn to hustle and grind, right? Like there's days where I'm in here at 6 a.m. and I don't leave till 8 or 9 at night. And that happens in every aspect of this field. Every day is not like that. And you shouldn't like make your life that way, right? This whole like 24/7 hustle grind is not, it shouldn't be worn like a badge of honor. And we should want to make as much money or have as big an impact as we can with as little effort as possible. So don't go out of your way to make your day longer, but there's going to be times where you're going to have to fit people into schedules. You're going to have to stick around later. If you're in the college or pro setting, video goes a little bit longer and you're going to have to stick around a little bit later. And you're going to need to know what it's like to hustle and grind in that manner. Which is why I say when you intern like you work there. Be there from, sun up to sundown. Be there from open to close. Get there early, leave a little bit later, just so you can know, A, if you're cut out for it, and B, what it feels like and what you're going to have to be dealing with for the rest of your career. Next one, you're going to have to learn to live well below your means. So this is good advice for everybody, but in strength and conditioning, it's really good advice. You're not going to have much of a choice either. In the last video that I did about this, it was called So You Want to Be a Strength Coach. I'll link it in the description. The last video that I did of this, I talked about how average pay for like all fitness professionals, and that's including personal trainers, strength and conditioning coaches, physical education teachers, physical therapists, physical therapy assistants, anybody in the fitness world. Average pay is about 35 grand, right? So 35 grand is not a lot. We are in the midst of some nasty inflation, so 35 grand is even less. We'll see if the needle moves as far as pay goes for strength and conditioning coaches over the next couple of years to kind of combat some of that inflation. I think what's going to end up happening is you're just going to have less people in the field because they simply can't afford to be in it. But 35 grand is not a lot, and that's average, right? So that means that there's people, Mickey Marotti at Ohio State's making like 700 grand, right? But then you've got the low-level assistants at Yale University. They had this is probably about 6 months ago now, they had an advertisement for a position that was paying 20 grand to start, right? So there's some guys at the very top doing very, very well, and it took them a long time to get there. And then there's the guys at the bottom just getting into the field who can't catch a break, and they're making 20 to 30 grand. So understand that you're going to have to live well below your means in order to get ahead and to have any chance of staying in the field. Like I said, some jobs, it's 2022 and they've got jobs going for $20K, and that's a full-time gig. Further down the road than that, you get into your career and you decide that you want to open a gym. Average take-home pay for your average gym owner is about 25 grand a year. Right, 25 grand is not all that much. It's a little over $2,000 a month. So hopefully your rent or mortgage hasn't gone up like everybody else's, and you can get by. Just learn to live well below your means. You'll really appreciate yourself, and like I said, it's something you're going to have to do. Next point, this is point number 9. Diversify yourself. Right? For some reason, and I don't understand why in this field, we think it's a good idea to get redundant degrees, right? So you go to school for exercise science, you're like, I'm going to get a master's in exercise physiology. All right, for what? Like, what's the point of that? How is that going to help you down the road? Anything that you're going to learn in that ex-phys, like, okay, you get to write a thesis, but anything that you learn in that ex-phys master's program is something you can read. Like, there's a billion books out there, and information is free and readily available. You don't need to do that to yourself. If you decide that you want to like go get a master's degree, get an MBA, go into psychology, get something that's going to help diversify you as a coach and give you other options. I mean, if I had somebody apply that had, to work at the Lions Den here, that had exercise science degree and exercise phys like master's degree, and then somebody who maybe came through and got an exercise science like undergraduate degree and then went and got their degree in psychology, I'm probably going to give that person with the psychology degree a little bit more of a look, because they're going to have a better understanding and be able to bring more to the table. So diversify yourself. Don't get stuck into this exercise phys, exercise science, in perpetuity. You have to diversify yourself if you want to make it and last in this field. On top of that, when, it's probably about 60% of strength coaches, I think it's 60 or 70%, aren't still in this field 5 years after they get into it. It gives you options on the back end, right? So you can go into a different field if you already have the groundwork laid for that. In addition to that, having your MBA, like, what's the ultimate goal of being a strength coach? For most people, it's to own their own facility and be able to kind of write their own ticket and do what they want to do. Well, exercise phys and exercise science aren't giving you a whole lot of detail when it comes to the business side of this stuff. For most guys, it's trial by fire, and most gyms don't make it because the guys and gals that are opening them don't have a solid understanding of the actual business side of things. So diversify yourself. Do not get redundant degrees. On top of that, it's 2 more years of your life. I know when you go to look for positions in this field, it'll say, 2 years experience or a master's degree. Well, you're 9 times out of 10 better off going and getting that experience, interning somewhere while like working on the side to be able to pay your bills, because you're going to be able to network more, you're going to be able to learn more, you're going to be on the floor coaching, getting actual experience instead of the stuff that's found in a book. I've worked with and had a lot of interns who were incredibly smart, had just loads of education, and they were trash on the floor because they'd never done it before. It doesn't mean that you can't work with them and get them better, but if I got a kid who interned for 2 years after getting his or her degree in exercise science or undergraduate degree, like, I'm going to give them more of a look because I can put them on the floor and they can just go. I don't have to handhold them. I don't have to walk them through it. There's just a lot to be said for that. So on top of that, when you go get your master's degree, you're saddling yourself with like an extra $20,000 to $50,000 in debt. We already went over the fact that you're going to be making $35K on average. You probably don't want to bootstrap yourself with that much debt when you're just getting into this field, because once those student loan, payments come due and you've got your rent and car note, whatever it is, you're not going to have enough money to eat. So I would say personally, skip the master's route. If you do go get a master's degree, get it in something different. All right. This next point, create revenue streams that don't rely on your current employment. So in this field, it's not a matter of if you're going to get fired, it's when. I've had 5 or 6 different positions in this field. I've been let go every single time. The most recent one was kind of a mutual thing. I wanted out. They wanted me out, so it kind of worked out. But prior to that, I even gave my original boss my 2 weeks notice, and he fired me. So like I've really never left on my own volition. You get let go and it happens, and it's going to happen to you in this field, because when there's coach turnover or there's general manager turnover, they want to change things up and they want to get their own people in there. So you got to be prepared for the day that you inevitably get fired. And having like some kind of online platform or online coaching, something that you do, like you could write books, write fitness articles, whatever it is, something that's going to give you some level of income in the in-between. I remember listening to Buddy Morris talk. It was Buddy Morris and Joe Ken on the old Elite FTS Sports Performance podcast. If you're watching this, guys, like, I really miss that podcast. It was one of my favorites, and I'm sad that you don't do it anymore. But I remember listening to them talk, and they were talking about when they got fired, right? Joe Ken got fired. Buddy Morris got fired. If these guys are getting fired, it's going to be tough for everybody else to keep a job. They talked about the difficulty of like the in-between. I remember I interned under Ron McKeefrey at the University of South Florida, and he was big into all of this stuff. And I remember early on, I was stupid and, was thinking, oh, well, that's not going to happen to me. I don't need to do all these things. Now I look back, I'm going to be 38 next week, and I look back and I'm like, damn, like I should have listened. I should have done those things, just create some kind of revenue stream that doesn't rely on you being an on-the-floor strength and conditioning coach, and you will absolutely thank yourself down the road so that when that savings runs up, if you've gotten let go and your savings is starting to dwindle, you've still got something coming in the door so that you're able to contribute to either like your family or your own well-being. So create a revenue stream that doesn't rely on your current employment. Do it. All right. Learn how to take time for self-care, all right? This is something that I did not listen to early on in my career. I just thought grind, go, work 7 days a week, make as much money as I can. And all that did to me was push me down a dark path as far as alcohol was concerned. I'm 2 years sober as of a week and a half ago, but for a good portion of my career, like I self-medicated with the fact that I was miserable from working so much with alcohol. And so if you don't take the time to like have a hobby, read, do something that is not your job, that gives you some kind of purpose and happiness and peace. If you don't find something like that, you're going to get burnt out, you're going to lash out, you're going to develop some kind of dependency or addiction. It just is what it is. Learn to take some time for self-care, go to the beach. You don't always have to be working. I'll say most of the good ideas that I've had in my life have been when I've taken a step back and kind of taken the focus off of work and been able to kind of reflect on things. So take that time for self-care and don't have it be like lifting. That's not your self-care. That is your job. Do not have lifting and exercise be your self-care regimen. It can be part of it, and it needs to be part of your everyday life because you're a strength and conditioning professional. However, find something, a hobby. It could be like sports of some kind. You could play pickup basketball, beer league hockey, beer league softball, whatever it is. Find like an outlet that's going to allow you to be able to reflect on your life and things that are not strength and conditioning or your job. All right. Next one. Say yes to everything early on, right? You're fresh in the field. You want to work with athletes, or you want to work with Olympic weightlifters, or you want to work with just football or whatever. You'd say yes to everything. You haven't even gotten your feet wet. I'd say like I didn't know what the hell I was doing until probably 6-7 years into the field. And it's because it takes that much time. You have to get in front of different people, different personalities, different kinds of people, general population, football, youth, a kid who can't skip, somebody who's coming out of rehab trying to get back, just to look good at the beach. Like, say yes to everything. You may not want to take that housewife in the middle of the day, right? She's not an athlete and it's boring. But what it's going to do is it's going to give you a different perspective on how to coach. I've learned things from coaching my general population clients that I've absolutely been able to apply with my athletes, even my high-level athletes. So, like, say yes, get in front of as many people as you can, learn as many things as you can, get in different environments, different settings, say yes to everything. I don't care if you think something is beneath you, right? You're certified, you got 6 years of school, nothing is beneath you at any point in your career, but especially early in your career, all right? I talked about this in the last one as well. Develop a personality of some kind, right? Like I said, I mentioned this in my previous video. Your clients are going to train with you because of the way you make them feel. Of course, they're worried about outcomes. They want to be better. They want to be stronger. They want to be faster. But they're not going to come back if they feel a certain way when they come into your facility. You got to be able to get in there and just like shoot the shit with them. And you got to be a dude, and you got to be able to hang around and like chirp guys and gals. You can't just like come in, not talk, have great training, and expect them to ever come back. It just won't happen. When it comes to your general population clientele, 1,000%, their experience will trump their outcomes. Guy I know fairly well named Steve Olson kind of mentioned that the other day, so I want to give him a little bit of credit. But the experience that they have in your facility is absolutely going to trump the outcomes, especially when it comes to general population. It better be fun, and it better, there needs to be some kind of outcome. They can't not make any progress at all. But if they're making slow, steady progress and they have fun every time they walk into your gym, they're going to come back before the miserable person that's having zero fun and has, making huge strides. It's sad, but it is what it is. And people want to have fun and be in a good environment, and as a coach you need to be able to provide that. Athletes are the same way. If you can't, especially working with hockey as long as I have, guys chirp each other all the time, and if you can't hop in there and jump in and have something to say with them, you'll be the one they're chirping at all the time, and it won't be fun for them. All right, so make a good environment for them, develop a personality, be able to talk with them and hang out. It should be they're training in between sets, right? So if you're, depending on what kind of work you're doing, you got anywhere from 1 to 3 sets in between, 1 to 3 minutes in between every set. What are you going to do? You're going to sit in silence? You're going to be able to talk about something? I don't know, right? So get yourself into a position where you develop personality. Get outside your box. I'm introverted as all hell, and I still am able to kind of extend that olive branch and talk to people even when I'm uncomfortable. So you need to do that as a coach, or you're going to have a very, very short career. All right, I think that about sums it up, right? So it's 14 points here. I would implore you, if you're thinking about getting into this field, to not do it. Every intern that I have that comes through my doors, I tell them, keep this a hobby, because you don't want to do this for a living. Even to the point where I enjoy training, and there's a lot of days that I don't, because it feels like it's part of the job. And that's not to sit here and have a pity party for me. It is what it is. I love what I do. I wouldn't trade it for a thing. I've grinded my way to what is assumed to be the pinnacle of this career and owning my own facility. But it took a long time to get there. And if you're not a strong individual, it will absolutely eat you up. Like I said, it's something like 60 to 70% of strength coaches aren't even in the field after 3 to 5 years. Make sure this is something you're prepared for. Make sure this is something you enjoy doing. Make sure you put yourself in a position where you can continue to make money and bring money in outside of the gym. Get to know people. There's a million things. I'll list all the points in the description here. But do yourself a favor. If you do want to be a strength coach, and I can't talk you out of it, make sure that you do something about all these points, because you'll thank yourself. All right, well, thanks for tuning in. We're going to do this again every week, every Tuesday. These are going to be dropping, and I think the next one we're going to be doing deals with mental health and athletes, young athletes. So you're going to want to tune into that, and we will see you next time.